everyone, this is Gayle. Welcome to my channel tonight. This is our Saturday night live stream. Woo! We are here tonight and I hope that we have a good time. That's what I'm planning on anyway. We have got so much to discuss. This is really going to be kind of a busy live stream, but that's okay, right? That's all right. So before we get started, I cannot talk. Before we get started, I want to go back in the group and just make sure that it got posted like it's supposed to. I think we're fine. Okay, it looks good. Looks good. So, all right then, we are ready. Let's see. So many things I want to talk to you all about. First off, let me say hello to White 2-Pack. Welcome. How are you doing? It is really good to see you. I don't get to come in to your streams much because they're gone by the time I get notification of them. So I'm sorry. But I hope you're doing okay. That is White 2-Pack, folks. So, we have Thomas, the post-war train guide, who's in. So hi, Thomas. Good to see you. I hope your weekend is going well, too. That's the big plan, right? That we all have good weekends. Yay. So, yeah. All right. So, White 2-Pack and Thomas, the post-war train guy, are both in. So, if you all come, do check out their channels. All right. So, today we're going to be talking about a few things. One is we got a giveaway coming up over in our Facebook group. So, we're going to be talking about that. Also, my post I did over on my blog, which is the Bodacious Broads Travel blog. It's linked down below, bodaciousbroadstravelblog.com. Free or cheap things to do in any city is what we're going to be talking about tonight because that blog post has generated 4 or 5 emails. So I thought we would spend some time talking about that. And we have Valerie Reese in the house. Hey, Valerie. Welcome, welcome. How are you? I hope you're doing okay also. Hey, Thomas says his uncle got him a Norfolk Southern Railroad spike. Wow, good deal. Norfolk Southern has not been having a good time lately. They've encountered some difficulties. So, but I'm glad you got a spike. That's really cool. Yeah, train stuff is just fascinating. Y'all get a chance, go check out his channel because train things are just, we have this whole history that's tied up with the railroad that we don't celebrate, we don't appreciate, and that's kind of near and dear to my heart. So go check out his train stuff, okay, you all? So anyhow, we're going to be talking today about oh, good, Valerie. Yeah, we're putting off doing our taxes. You know what it means if you put them off and do them late. It means you know you're going to get your checkbook out. So we have paid more in the past couple of years. But anyway, don't want to talk about that. Don't even want to think about that. But I'm glad yours is done. And we have Candy, the wee service dog, in the house. Hi, Candy. I've got to apologize to you. I messaged you and then promptly my phone went down. So now it's back up to 5%. So hopefully, I'm going to plug it back in here. Hopefully it'll be up where I can get back to you in a little bit. Yeah, train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. Yeah, Norfolk Southern's just not been having a good time of it at all. So sending lots of prayers to those folks, lots and lots and lots of prayers that way. So anyway, on the blog, on the video tonight, this live stream that we're having, we're going to talk about the blog post that I wrote on cheaper free things to do in any city because that's generated a few emails to me. So yay! And I thought we'd talk about it here. And I've got some giveaway items to show you that I'm super stoked about. And I think you're going to like them too. And before I forget, I have got a collab that's going on with Women's Station channel, and we both took the topic of chicken stew. So that's what the collab is about. I have no idea yet how she has cooked hers. My chicken stew I did in the van on solar. So I did that. Thomas says he works on Norfolk Southern. That's awesome. But I'm sorry also that you got this trouble going on. Busy Lady is here. Hey, Busy. Good to see you. Good to see you. Now, did I miss anybody? Yes, I did. There's Tanya Lambert. So hi, Tanya. Welcome, you all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. So the collab that I did with Women's Station channel, I'm going to be linking that down below if I haven't already. And let me see. So that collab that we did is just the two of us. We both chose to do chicken stew. And like I said, I did mine in the van, on solar, in the crock pot. That's one of the ways I like to cook when I'm out in the van, because I can drive, throw the stuff in the crock pot, and then by the time I'm ready for lunch or dinner, depending on what I'm cooking, because some things cook longer than others, then I can just pull off, take the dog for the walk, get his energy out, and then have dinner, and it's done. It's ready when I am. It's right there. You have the convenience of being at home. On the solar, we have a 100-watt panel, two 100-amp-hour batteries, and a 1,500-watt, 3,000-watt inverter. So that's what we're running on with solar. The two 100-amp-hour batteries can do a crock pot without sneezing. I mean, it's good for a while. No problems there. So, yeah. Oops. Let me change this right quick up in the corner. Okay. So that's what my video is on. That's coming out at noon on Tuesday. So I hope you all like that. Hey, look, we've got Stellar Piper in the house. Stellar, it's good to see you. I know you're sick and not feeling good, so we appreciate you being here. So, the NS 290 derailed also. Wow. Yeah, definitely not a good time for the railroad industry, because even though it happened to one, I am sure everybody else is looking over their shoulder. So, yeah, that's got to be rough. So anyway, that's the details on the collab. It's going to be coming out Tuesday. I'm really looking forward to seeing hers and seeing how she did it. I believe that she probably did it a little more traditionally. She probably did it in her apartment. But you know me, I don't do anything hardly that's, quote, normal. Unless you do van life, in which case cooking it on solar in the crock pot is 110% normal for van life, okay? Just tossing it out there as my big disclaimer, right? And Tanya says hello to anybody she missed. So, hi. Wow, we have got a full house tonight. So I hope you all will take the time to give me a like, please, on the video. The algorithms love likes. So hit me with a like, okay? And anytime I see you all, I hit likes too. So hit me, hit me, hit me. All right. Anybody want to see the giveaway stuff? Anybody in here want to see the giveaway stuff? Let me know. Because I thought it was time for us to do a giveaway. Yay. It's time. And that's my big hint for what the giveaway item is going to be. And Tanya says, like, share, and sub. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, thank you. So, all right. The giveaway, I think I mentioned on the live stream, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that. Okay, Tanya says she won't be able to participate in giveaways anymore because she doesn't do Facebook anymore, 3 times hacked. Sorry, I'm done with it. I understand that. And we may do some over on Instagram, but not this month. That might happen next month, though. But this month, we're going to do it on Facebook. So I'm sorry that you can't participate. I know not everybody can, and that's kind of the way it is everywhere. So look for it, probably Instagram next month. Can you put a link to the Facebook page also? I haven't seen it in my feeds lately. Yes, I can do that right now because I've got it open, so I can do that. Whoops. Let me see if I can type it correctly. Okay. There we go. All right. So I think I mentioned either on the last live stream or the one before, I'm not sure which, that one of my favorite travel accessories is an analog watch. And that is because if I know what time it's supposed to be where I am, I can figure out what time it is at home and figure out, the time for where I am, because my phone which I just pulled and unplugged, sorry about that, which my phone doesn't always update. You'll be in between towers, or it just, you're on a different network. Like I'm on Straight Talk, which uses the Verizon towers. When I go out to New Mexico, starting about halfway through Texas on until then, that's like T-Mobile or AT&T or something else. And I'm terrible about getting updates and signal. And part of the time I can't use my phone, but I can use data. So it's just crazy. So that's why I like traveling with an analog watch, because if I know I'm supposed to be in the central time zone or the Atlantic, or if in the Pacific time zone and whatever, then I can look at my watch. I know what time it is at home, and then I can adjust. So, having said that, we have for our giveaway item a watch. I have a photo of it. Whoops, sliding out of the plastic overwrap here. I do have a photo of it over on Facebook. So there's the watch, and it's analog. It's got the world behind it. So instead of having the whole world in your hands, you've got the whole world on your arm. And yeah, the watch band is leather or leatherette. I checked it on my wrist, which is not very small, and I'm able to fasten it without problem. And yeah, it's got the large face, which personally I like when I'm traveling. I like a large face watch over a small one. Sometimes small is all I can get. So we have that. Let me slide this back in here. Oh, come on, fingers, work. All right. My fingers do not want to cooperate. If y'all ever had one of those days, okay. Now, get in there. Okay. So, and I'll tape that back together. So, this portion back together. The watch is new and fine. So, anyway, that's that. And, oh yes, Candy says, don't forget, we'll be talking about her service dog journey on Tuesdays. That is happening on Overcoming the Obstacles, which is my other channel. So right here for Tuesday, I've got the collab coming up. Then at the same time, that's a video release. And at the same time, I'll be over on my other channel with Laurel, who's Candy the Wee Service Dog. So Tuesday's going to be a fabulous day. Every day is going to be fabulous. But Tuesday for me is going to be fabulous-er. Is that a word? Okay. Busy lady knows what it's like. Okay, right here. Her fingers don't cooperate either. So, all right. And then next on the list, I have, I don't even know you can see it. There we go. A weekly planner. I like this for traveling because I like writing things down when I travel. and taking notes. And then I come back and I put all of my notes onto Google Drive. And it just works better for me to do that. So I have this planner going with this watch. And along with this, I'm going to be putting a random pair of earrings in. I have not made them yet, so I can't tell you what they're going to be like. They're top secret. So secret, I don't even know, right? So that's going to go into. So the watch, the planner, and the earrings, a random pair. So I don't know what yet. It may be stars. It may be something travel themed, which is going to be my first choice. So we'll see. Anyway, I'm going to post it over in the Facebook group. And the question, I'm posting it tomorrow, but you can be thinking about the question now, or the answer rather, to the question. I'm going to post something along the lines of, if you could travel anywhere, but you only had an hour in wherever, where would you go? And it can be anywhere. It can be on the highest peak or the lowest low. It could be 5,000 leagues under the sea. Just whatever you think. So I'm going to post that on Facebook. Then you all are going to put the answers. And you're going to have from the time it posts to 6:30 Saturday night next week. And then on this live stream at 7 o'clock on this live stream, or really not 7 o'clock, but after 7 on the live stream, we're going to draw. Now, somebody asked if Pipsy was going to draw. Where was that? Here we go. Is Pipsy picking the winner? Maybe. Are you all okay with Pipsy picking the winner? I mean, he is kind of impartial. He doesn't have anything. No, it does not have to be an actual location. So if you want to say you want to spend an hour on Pandora, go for it. Wherever you would like to go. And I may ask you to put a Y with it too. I would travel to Riverdale. Okay, that would be cool. Rivendell. That's what I thought you meant when you said Tolkien. So, yeah, the question is going to be along that line. I don't want to say the exact wording. Okay, so if you all are okay with Pipsy picking the winner, just type Pipsy in the chat box. Otherwise, I can look and see if there is a random internet generator thing, random internet picker thing, and go from there. So those are kind of my two choices. So we'll see, right? So if you all are okay with Pipsy, just type his name in. Or if you can't spell Pipsy, just type dog in. Or you know what? I could do a poll, I think. And I'll do a poll. And you guys can answer the poll. Poll question. I got to type. Wait a minute. So there we go. I'm going to ask you all. I'm putting the chat box. Yay. Okay, the poll is now live. So you all can tell me whether or not you want Pipsy to pick the winner, or if no, I'll just look for a random comment picker and go from there. So yeah, click yes if you want them and no if you don't. Okay. Oh, let's see. Women's Station channel is in. I was just talking a minute ago about our collab that's going live Tuesday. I don't even know if I told you, I did my chicken stew in the van on solar. So I told them I imagined you probably did it more traditionally, like in a building or a house or an apartment. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, you can do that. I will allow that. Tanya Valerie is asking if you want her to enter the giveaway for you. So if yes, then just let her know. you know, if you do or not. Okay. All right. Funny. Actually not, but it was good. Okay. I'm looking forward to seeing it Tuesday. Whoops. There it is. And Candy says, hi, Women's Station. Hey, Peter. Peter says no. He does not want the dog to pick the winner. So I think right now we're at some yeses and some nos. Are the no's winning? I actually can't see. Okay, yes. The yes is winning by 83%. Okay. Okay, so just let me know if somebody's going to enter for you and you want them to, just let me know. Oh, now you're killing us here. Killing us here. Chocolate chip cookie and banana ice cream. That's just killing us. Yeah, Stellar says that sounds delicious. You're killing us here. Women's Station channel is going to enter, so great. And I don't know if you were in when I started the poll, but the question is, do we want the dog to pick the winner? And if you wanted to pick the winner, just say yes on the poll. If you don't, of course, just click no. He is completely unbiased. And the giveaway items are a watch, a planner, and a pair of earrings. Like I said, the earrings are so top secret, I don't know what they are yet. It should have cleared up when I emailed you, but I will look in the spam filter. If you've sent me something since I've emailed you, I will need to check my spam filter again. So, yeah. Which I haven't had much of a chance the past several days to be on the email, but I think I've emailed everybody back at least for the past few days that's contacted me. Thank you again, Tanya, because I keep forgetting that. So, all right. Now, where was I? Notes. I'm telling y'all, especially since COVID, I cannot think a straight line. Okay, so I talked about the giveaway and I talked about, okay. So now the next thing to talk about is my blog post. So since this has generated some emails, I thought I would go ahead and talk about that here, which is it's the Bodacious Broads travel blog. I'll pull this up and share the screen, and it's things that free and cheap things you can do in any city, or at least I will say most cities will have at least some of these. And it's part of traveling on a budget. I see an newer post up that says how to travel on a budget and still have fun, but I've got to accept my cookie policy. Sorry about that, folks. That's a mandatory thing that we have to do. Let's go down here to the correct post because I just pulled up my blog in general. Here we go. Cheap or free things to do in any city. Also, let me point out this right here is a clock. Can you believe it? That is actually a clock, and it's one of the free things to do if you're ever in Lexington, Kentucky. So most cities have a library. Most of the time, we don't think about going to the library as being something interesting that you can do in just about any town. But they always have displays, and they are often geocentric, specific to that area, but not always. This is a folk called pendulum clock. And the pendulum swings from the roof, which is on above the second floor. And you can see the curvature of the earth as it goes around. So it's fascinating. They also have a used bookstore, used library books in the bookstore underneath that. And there are some other statues and so forth set up. So we're not talking about something like the New York Public Library system, but libraries are something that you can do that's usually free in any city, and you can see the exhibits. And of course, I do encourage everybody, anytime you go to New York City, go to the New York Public Library, because that has been annihilated in so many movies. I mean, who can keep up with how many times that's been annihilated, right? Like Ghostbusters did it in, Day After Tomorrow, Where Will You Be the Day After Tomorrow did it in, and lots of other things. So, yeah. And let's get back to the chat for a second. Oh, Stellar's having leftover rigatoni and meat sauce. Awesome. Yeah, now Stellar was with me when I went to the library in Lexington. Ooh, yum. Awesome. St. Louis is saying, St. Louis is saying, Tanya is saying, the St. Louis Zoo and the St. Louis Mini Theater, they have, if it's mini season, they have free seats for the theater. I finally got that out. It's like, can you say this 5 times fast? Okay, check the event calendar for the library. Also offers free concerts and events. So check the event calendar. Which is another thing. Whenever you go to a different city and you're trying to do things like in a budget fashion, check the event calendar for that city. And Stella just pointed out checking the library calendar, because there are sometimes some really cool free and cheap things to do. One of the things that happens in Knoxville is during the summer, there are sometimes plays that go on the Market Square Mall area, which is just a section in downtown. And they have free parking close to it, so you don't have to pay to park. But the plays are open air and they're free. The only thing you're going to want to do is bring a chair or a blanket and something to drink or a picnic basket. But there's no charge for it at all. They don't take up an offering or anything like that. They just do it to have something really cool going on downtown. So definitely something to look out for. Also, going back to this, visitor information centers. These are the first place you should look. No matter where you're going, start at the Visitor Information Center for that town, because you can really find out what's going on at the town. If there is something special that may not be advertised, they may know about it. For example, I'm going to pick on Knoxville again. During Advent season in Knoxville, which is that period between roughly between Thanksgiving weekend through after Christmas. During that period, there's one of the churches that have a Carol of the Bells, and that's not well advertised, but tourism does know about that. So if you go in and talk to them and ask, what's going on that's Christmas in the area or seasonal in that area, they can tell you. Also, it's a great place to get discount coupons, maps, find out about walking tours. Walking tours are always free, of course. Many cities have them, and they're self-guided, and they don't cost anything to do, but you can pick up the maps at the Visitor Information Center. So I always suggest that you start your trek there first. The other thing that you may want to do that will help you find free and cheap things to do is contact the state tourism bureau before you go. And also you can contact the visitor information center for where you're going. It may be called sports and tourism. It may be called the tourism center, but you're looking for something along that lines, and ask them to send you a packet of information, including a map of the area. You still want to go by at the visitor center and talk to them to get that information face to face and get the full scoop. And they may have coupons for restaurants there at the visitor center that they can't necessarily email you. So always start there. Okay, Candy, you too. You have a good one too. Antonia says Forest Park, going and finding a park anywhere and just walk the trails. Yes, yes, yes. Which is actually also on my list, and that's parks. We overlook those, right? We don't think about, going to a city and going to a park. For this one, I'm going to pick on Chattanooga. There is a phenomenal park there, and it is on the grounds of the old ammunition factory, and they made ammunition there during World War II. So one of the things that you can do at this park, and this is why you want to start out with the visitor center, okay? Because it's not advertised, but the folks at the visitor center can put you onto this little hint. But it's not advertised. It's off of exit 5 or 7. And you can actually go and you can stand in a World War II ammunition magazine, or ammunition bunker, if you want to call it that. But you wouldn't know without talking to them, because there's no big signs up saying, you can do this. This has got World War II history or anything like that. There's just nothing to mark it. But yet, it is like such a cool thing to visit. And on the walls of the bunker, there is stenciling from World War II where they put down like what ammunition it could hold and things like that. So just some really cool stuff. But it's at the park. Now, Forest Park that Tanya was talking about has some really cool things too. Also, you may run into like nature observation decks, art. In Chattanooga, there's a sculpture garden. There's a bocce ball court. Things like that that you may not think about. Atlanta has Olympic Park there where they had the Olympics. Those are local parks. But also within a very close distance may be a state park or a national park. If you go toward Nashville, for example, there are some state parks within 10, 15 minutes. I would say Cedars of Lebanon State Park's about 15 minutes from Nashville. If you go over to Eastern North Carolina, there's tons of things going on over there. Virginia has got tons and tons of like national battlefields, parks, Shenandoah Valley, tons of things to check out. And those parks are either free or they're cheap. Some places, like, I can't think of the name of it. I am not thinking well tonight, y'all. I am so sorry. But anyway, some of the places, like if it's a building, there may be a tour for like the museum in the building, but most of the time the grounds will be open. So, yeah. Okay, Valerie is saying that there are a lot of battlefield trails around. So definitely, take advantage of that. If you're visiting a town on the beach, then look for beach museums. Okay, Women's Station Channel says her library has a discovery pass at their website that gives you free tickets to attractions. The Knox County Library in Tennessee has something similar. And, you think, oh, well, I don't live there. I don't qualify for a library card. But the thing is, a lot of them have either reciprocating agreements with other libraries, or you can pay an out-of-town fee and get your library card to that library just by paying a fee and showing some identification. Let's see. Typed in your channel and it didn't highlight. Busy says at Women's Station channel. I don't know why. Somebody said that the other day, and I really don't know why. It's just a YouTube thing. So if y'all want to try it again, that'd be great. Didn't work. I don't know. Oh, let me see. I'll do it and we'll see what happens. Oh, Busy says she did it. Oops. Okay. Yay, I'm glad it got done. That is awesome. Oh. And another thing to look for. Most places have nonprofit museums. Now, these may or may not be tied in with a visitor center, but the visitor center can let you know where they are. So, for example, Farragut, Tennessee has, I think it's over in City Hall, has a free museum that you can go in, or it's like a couple of bucks. Cities often have things like that. Also, some counties, there may be like a county museum. Look for educational society, historic societies, places like that. Also, I want to mention a big one that is overlooked, and that is college campuses. That is like the number one thing that's overlooked, and it's one of probably the second or third thing you may want to check, and you can talk to them at the visitor center about this too. Colleges often have free events that are open to the public, and you've got to check the event listings for the college. But they also often have museums. The one in Knoxville, which I'm going to pick on that again, is where I grew up, partially grew up. There is a museum there that's associated with the UT Knoxville campus, and it's free. It's the McClung Museum, and they have got stuff going back to like prehistorical stuff. It is super cool, especially if you like ancient history, but it goes on up to modern day, and it's free, and the parking is free. But it is kind of a pain to park there. So you want to check with the college where in whatever city that you're in, and find out if they've got a free museum, and find out about parking. Also, the concerts. Oh my gosh. Some of them have phenomenal concerts that are open to the public, usually from their own bands. So you might see a woodwind ensemble or a brass ensemble, or something like that. And they can be just absolutely phenomenal. And oftentimes they're free or for a couple of dollars, or if it's during Christmas season, Advent season, as we would call it. Also, sometimes if you're Christian, then sometimes you may have to take like a can of food or something like that. Often overlooked. So free and cheap things to do. Let's say you're planning a trip and you take day one and you have breakfast either at home, or if you're overnighting in a hotel, you hopefully will be able to have breakfast at the hotel. Not all hotels do a free continental breakfast though, which is kind of sad. But anyway, have breakfast, then dash over to the Visitor Information Center. Talk to them for a while. A lot of times they'll even have a film about the area. They can also tell you about any free transportation options. Like, for example, you go to Charleston, South Carolina, you go visit the Visitor Information Center, and you find out there's a free shuttle that's going around town. So you may ride the free shuttle around town, get a good overview, go back, pick up your car, and then go take a harder look at any place that you want to, that you just learned about. So breakfast, visitor information, go do something else. Find out about lunch places, what kind of like mom and pop lunch places that you really want to check into, get some suggestions there. Now, let me toss in one caveat. When you're asking for a recommendation for lunch or a restaurant, do not take, well, how do I want to phrase that? I don't want to say do not, but if you're asking a hotel desk clerk where you should go and they make a recommendation, if they say anything like, yeah, tell them our hotel sent you, tell them I sent you, that means they're going to get most oftentimes a perk for that referral. So I would say, from having worked in the industry, I would say take their recommendations with a grain of salt. Oftentimes there will also be a display for like 10% off or free appetizer, and you're talking to them. They may get perks from those places. So if they give you a card and they write your name on it and say, hey, make sure you give this to the server and she'll treat you right or whatever, take those with a grain of salt, okay? Because they're going to send you most often where they're going to get the perk, So visitor centers, some of them may have that going on. But still go ahead and ask. But here's the thing. When you ask, something that will help you get the most accurate referral is to say, where do you particularly eat? I am looking for upscale, mid-scale, something in between fast food, and toss out a type of restaurant that you like. So say something in between fast food and Ruby Tuesday, or fast food and Olive Garden. Try to kind of nail them down. And they may tell you that like the local large chains may be the best in that area, but give them the opportunity to tell you accurately, based on their experience, where they personally would go. And that can give you a different answer, because they may say, well, there's a steakhouse in our front parking lot, but I really like the steaks better at blah, blah, blah restaurant. So you're still asking for a referral, but it's how you ask that you get sometimes the best information. Does that make sense? Type it into the chat room if you think. Okay, Valerie says she's still here and knitting. Tanya's asking where everybody is. Busy says she hit like. She says they snuck out. I don't know. I think that Stellar Piper may have backed off for a little bit. She's pretty darn sick. But we do have 6 watching. So yay! Welcome and hello to all 6. So that takes care of restaurants. So kind of what I would do is, if I'm doing a budget trip, I would go first, have breakfast, hopefully free, and then go to the visitor information center. Find out what's going on there. Then go do something, and then go have lunch. Look at their recommendation for lunch and decide if that's something you want to do. Now, if you're going to go to parks in the afternoon, you may want to go get a picnic lunch. And you may want to go to Walmart, Publix, Kroger, to a grocery store and grab and go on the sandwiches. You may want to do that if you're going to a park. So lunch somewhere, and then in the afternoon, you may want to hit a park, which would be, national, state, local, whatever you want to do. Oftentimes, those will take up most of an afternoon. Now, if you go to a university or college campus, or if you're going to go to a nonprofit museum, plan to be finished with those by by 4 or 5 o'clock. Sometimes the latest that they will take a tour may be 3:30 or 4 o'clock, so time it for that. Also realize that transportation around town and parking can take longer than you think it's going to. There's always going to be a traffic jam or you're going to catch all the lights red. It's just a given, right? So, okay, Tanya says she's about to go. She's having a lot of pain. I'm sorry. Yeah, do take care of yourself. I'm sorry. I hope you feel better. Yeah, and they're echoing that too. A lot of illness going around in general, so I'm sorry you're sick. But feel better, and we'll hope to hear from you soon. So, if I'm going to do something, going back to the For Your Cheap, if I'm going to do something for your cheap, I'm going to go that afternoon and probably go to a park. Or I'm going to do some shopping. Often there are cute little quaint shops downtown or in like a historic area and so forth. They'll fill you in at a visitor center if you stop there on some really cute places to shop. If not, there's always malls, etc. And or even thrift shops. A lot of people like to go to thrift shops when they're in a different town just to see what kind of interesting little things they can find. And all of those things can be great when you're doing a budget trip, because when you're looking at shopping, you're controlling how much you spend. The things that you can't control is gasoline and hotel prices. You can shop around a little bit and you can use sites like booking.com and so forth, but those are still kind of out of your control. What you can control on a trip is the distance that you go, because that makes a difference on how much gasoline you get, your food, and the activities that you choose, and the souvenirs that you purchase. Those are all within your control. Restaurants and food, there's a huge variety. When I go and I'm on a budget trip, sometimes what I want to do is do those grab and go sandwiches from like Walmart or Food City or wherever, and then have a splurge meal at one of the nicer restaurants. Budget for it. Check out the menu before you go online. That'll give you an idea of what the prices are. So anyway, so in the afternoon, if I was going, I would do a park or a walking tour. And cities right now, the hot thing is for the cities to have murals. Cities of any size can have murals. And one of the fun things to do might be to go around and look at the murals, because a lot of times they will depict some of the history of the town. You can also look it up online and go and look for those historic markers. And some people like doing that. So those kinds of things. So I would do something like that in the afternoon. Then in the evening, I would go have dinner. And then after dinner, I would do either a walking tour, which I might repeat. I'll tell you why in a second. Or, doing the murals. Or that might be when I do a free event, if there's one going on in the town, like the plays that we just talked about. Now, some of those were put on hold thanks to COVID, but they are starting to reemerge. One of the reasons why I would do an evening walking tour again is because of the lighting. Things look very different at night when the lights are shining on things. Veterans memorials, oh my gosh, those are some of my favorite things to do at night, especially if you go, like let's say you're in DC, which is quasi-budget. A lot of the activities there are free, but you pay through the nose for parking in your hotel. But if you're ever up there and you can go to the monuments at night, the way the lights are hitting some of the monuments, they've just been designed to just give you chills sometimes, but in a good way, in a good way. I'm not talking about spooky chills, although some people like old cemeteries for that reason. Um, it's just a really cool thing to do. The city lighted at night, any city is going to look vastly different. If you've ever seen pictures of New York City, it's a huge difference day and night, obviously. So it kind of depends on what you're after. But in the evenings, like after dinner, it can be a good time to repeat the walking tour that you may have just done earlier, because that gives you a good comparison. And it's really cool sometimes to see the difference. So I would do something like that. Now, chances are I have just named more things than you can do in a day. So you can easily make this a 2-day itinerary, especially now if you're in a town and you are next to like a lake or a beach. Then take more time at the lake or more time at the beach, and you can really stretch it out. And one little hint about beach towns: if you don't mind driving, and I'm not talking about staying out an hour and then driving in, I'm talking about sometimes even just a couple of blocks. If you don't mind doing that, then you can save a fortune by not staying directly on the beach and driving into a public parking area and then walking over the sand dunes and spending the day at the beach that way. It can be a much less expensive way to go to be on the beach. Of course, if you're doing a budget trip, off season. The only thing about off season is some of the free or cheap things that I just mentioned may not be available during off season. So you may want to hit it like on the edge of a holiday season and take advantage of some of the concerts and activities going on for the holidays. So do it that way. But there's a lot of free and cheap things to do that any city may have to do, and don't overlook them when you go. Even if you only have time to do like one or two things. Let's say you're going on a trip someplace else and you just want to get out of the car for a little while and do something. Small towns are great at having veterans areas, a little museum, things like that you can go in, walk around for a little while. You spend an hour, maybe two at the stop. You've gotten out, you've seen a couple of things, boom, you're back in the car, back on the road again, and you've just broken up your driving just a little bit. So these things don't have to be necessarily an all-day thing. You can take a little while, an hour, 2 hours, and still do something in a town if you've got an idea of free or cheap things to do. And you can do it, if you're going free, you can do it without adding cost. And that is huge, huge. And if you're going, I've traveled so much and looked for so many free and cheap things to do that, like, if you're going out Interstate 40 and you need some ideas, hit me up, okay? I've got them for you. Valerie says she loves antique shops. See, that is a great thing to do. You know, again, it's kind of like the thrift shops and anything else. You know, when you're shopping, you're in control of how much you are spending. So it's a great activity. It's also especially good. Let's say you go and it's cold outside or it's extremely hot and you want to get in out of the heat or out of the cold. Hit a thrift shop, hit an antique store. Tons of things to look at. Okay, Stellar says the lights going down one of Lexington's main drags are timed, so if you go exactly the speed limit, you'll catch them all green. I've heard that. I've also heard that if the lights are green at 35, they're going to be green at 70. Just saying. I don't always recommend 70, though. Busy needs a trip. I'm telling you. Go have fun. Cocoa, Florida is a cute little town. Yeah, now Coco's got some really neat things to do, even just close by within just a few minutes of driving. And she says she likes going to thrift stores she's never been to. They can be really fun. And they have so many interesting things. And I will tell you something that somebody gave me the tip on like years ago. I managed a ministry center, and we had a thrift shop, and we had a lady who always came in, and the first thing out of her mouth she would ask is, do you have any upper scale brand items? And she was looking for like Waterford, Gorham, Lennox, that type of thing. And I told her one day, I said, yeah, I've got a couple of pieces, but they're not in the box. And she said, that's okay. She said, Lennox is still Lennox and Gorham is still Gorham. So she availed herself whenever she would come in. And she'd come in like every 3 or 4 weeks, we'd see her. But that was the kind of thing she was looking for. And she said whenever she went on a trip, she would try to pick something like that up and set it on the mantle, and she would have something nice to remind herself about with the trip without spending a fortune. And she says, I cannot get away until my kiddo isn't in school. Summer's coming, spring break, long weekends. Take advantage of what you can. Now, up in Michigan, you've got the added advantage of lighthouses. Same thing with Outer Banks. There's some in Florida. Those can be phenomenal to go visit, and the areas around them will have a lot of these same free and cheap things to do. So if you're going to plan, and I know I'm kind of getting on budget a little bit, but if you're going to plan a budget vacation, then, look at the whole picture. Maybe you pick out one thing that your family absolutely says they just have to do or they're going to die. Especially if you've got a teenager, because at any given moment, the teenager is going to die. They will tell you this. Having raised 2 teenage girls and having been a teenager myself, I can tell you they'll do that. So pick out one main thing and then supplement that one main thing with other activities from the cheap or free to do list. Or have the free or cheap to do ideas in the back of your head. So let's say you're going to the beach and it rains all day, which should never happen at the beach. You should have a few hours every day where it's nice and pretty. My opinion, anyway. But let's say you go and it rains, but you've budgeted and planned your whole vacation around being on the sand. So have some of those activities in your hip pocket of things that you can do that are free and cheap to supplement. You will never go wrong. Even if you don't do any of these things, you will never go wrong with having the information at hand. Stellar says, around her, the big thing is distillery tours. Those can be a lot of fun, a lot of history to them, especially if you're in the Appalachian region or an area where they have been doing moonshining for generations and so forth. Kids can't always go if you're going to go into a distillery part, if you're going to go in a place where they're selling or doing alcohol tastings. Kids can't always go in that area. It depends on where you are. So you may need to call those ahead of time if you're traveling with kids and find out, is there a museum component, for example, that kids can go to? Maybe fishing. Yeah. A lot of places will require you to have a license, but sometimes kids under a certain age don't need to have a license. But in those situations, you still may have to have an adult with a license there with the kids. So that would be a neat idea. Also, if you go fishing and you catch something, then you may wind up having dinner over a campfire, which is, you're not going to go wrong with that. you can't go wrong. Some hotels, it used to be more common, so it's becoming a little more rare. But you can talk to a hotel and find out if they've got a grill, which would be a great place to cook that fish. So that's an idea too. So all right, I'm going to go over here to the poll that we did. And let me see how you all feel about Pipsy picking out the winner next week. And that's on the giveaway that we're doing over in Facebook. And we have an 83% of the people voting have voted to have Pipsy choose the winner. So yay! I'm going to close this out. There we go. We had 6 votes, 83% yes, and 16% voted no. So clearly, he will be picking our winner next week. So, yay! All right. Well, I think my voice is about running out here. Hold on. Woo! Okay. So, lots of good things. And I'm going to put that blog post link. Let's see, it already is there, isn't it? Okay. Blog post is linked in the description box. So, yeah, go check that out. And if you have ideas of things that you want me to talk about either on the channel or put in the blog, then let me know. I'm always glad to hear from you about your suggestions and your comments. So there you go. All right. Well, I try to keep this to an hour, and I think we're there. So thank you all very much for hanging out with me. It's been great. It has been great. So before you all leave, let me toss out a reminder that you should always be bodacious. That's our hashtag on this channel. Hashtag be bodacious, which means you're not going to let life get in the way of living. So look for those videos. I've got a shorts coming out tomorrow. And look for the videos coming out this week. Join the Facebook group to be part of the giveaway and look for those details to come. So thank you all. Good night.